We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for a lot of people. And we're going to acknowledge several of those throughout the morning, but it's a pleasure for me to get to introduce our Congressman. Congressman Hall has been instrumental on this project from day one. He has faithfully served the constituents that he represents. When times got tough, it was Congressman Hall that had meetings for Mayor Brady and I in the Pentagon. And it was without him, really, we wouldn't be here today, I don't think. So without any further ado, our favorite Congressman, Congressman Ralph Hall.
Mayor, thank you. You're too young to be mayor. And I'm glad you introduced little Billy over here because I've asked his mother if he could take my place in Congress. He lives long enough. Let me just get started. I could finish my whole speech with one word. Finally. And you know, time's important. It's a pleasure to join you here and be with you, and I can read the speech to you, but I'm not going to do that. But I can talk a little bit about time, because time, whether it's months or years or minutes, can be so important in this day and time. I remember when Mr. Rayburn went to the West Coast trying to nominate Lyndon for president. And he went all over those polls with everybody there telling him, Jack Henry's too young. He's a good boy, but he's too young. The boy's too young. He said that everywhere he went. Well, the boy got nominated for president. 3 months later, Mr. Rayburn was on the West Coast, East Coast. A commentator that heard him say that too young too many times and didn't like him. He said, you know, you said at the convention he was too young. He said, don't be stupid. He's 90 days older now. Yes, that's a good word. And I have to tell a story. Do I have time, Mayor?
Absolutely.
About time. The guy was trying to get to heaven. He talked to St. Peter and told him, I've done a good job. I've done a lot of good things. He said, well, tell us about some of them. He said, well, I was driving down the road, looked over there and saw a bunch of guys on motorcycles with things in their ears, tattoos, beards, had a little farm girl. They were hugging her. Then turned, she was crying and scratching him, hand her over the neck, and he'd hug her, hand her over the neck. And he said, I stopped over there, got the main guy by the neck, jerked him, slapped him, jerked his thing out of his ear. He's standing there holding his bloody ear, and I turned to the others, I said, and the rest of you want some of this? St. Peter said, when did all that happen? He said, about 15 minutes ago. I can remember when this group, a lot of you that were in the group, met that day that we called it, I think, got that down here somewhere. The governor couldn't think of the word energy. No, we called it the St. Valentine's Day Massacre when we met to determine how to stop and make a decision on when they cut the water off to go down below and flood them, or stay, keep it up here and flood our restaurants. And we'd worked with every commissioner, every judge, we'd all got together, and when we'd leave, we'd give different reports of what happened. So we met that day in a bar on a Sunday, 9 o'clock. Worked till 9 o'clock that night, but every time we'd agree on something, we'd sign it, and we'd all sign it. And then we all got a copy of it. And that wound up with a committee that's governed that ever since. And the Corps of Engineers can sometimes be difficult, or they can be very, very helpful. But they always follow what the Congress tells them to do. And I scratched out the level where they said to start letting the water out, or to stop letting it out, and said they could use their common sense. We haven't had any problems since. We had that big flood, what, 3, 4, 5 years ago, but no one could do anything like that. But time is important. And your time's important today. And I've already talked too long, but I want to take a few more minutes because I want to say some things about it. I'm going to get to introduce someone that really made this happen. First, I was handed my copy here, what I had to do today. They said my responsibility was to attend and make a short speech. Well, I have to make a good speech about the Schulers, because what a great responsibility this is. And their brother, his brother Jack, is just a giant in the industry in this country. He's been a good partner. Tony, thank you for your Denison economic development work. And Mayor, thank you. I wish you brought your beautiful wife with you, because I wanted to brag on her. Well, she's old enough to vote. I know she likes it. George and Gail Schuler. Mayor, thank you. George and Gail and Cindy. Cindy was an intern for me for a lot of years up there in D.C. I always consider her my daughter. I don't know what her dad thinks about that, but I had all the little boys, and the third little boy, Mary Ellen, wanted the boy so bad. We didn't know then what was coming. She said, "What is it, doctor?" He said, "You got another boy." She said, "Well, you can just have him." I got a poor little boy. He's lived 50 years, but his mother gave him away in the delivery room. So the Schulers, thank you for all you've done, all the input. When I called and tell you what they would do, well, you'd say, "Okay, how much more is it going to take?" Y'all have always come up with what we had to have. And I have the pleasure of introducing Tom Cooley, General, and Captain Freeman, who's born near where my folks all came from in Arkansas. Captain, stand up. You take care of the General. Thank you for bringing him here today. We thank you very much. I get to eat and enjoy General Cooley almost every Friday. He lives in Rockwall. We would not allow him to leave at all or move. Matter of fact, I wash his car, mow his lawn, shine his shoes, brag on his kids, or do most anything. I'm even going to give him a good introduction here. Let me just be brief about that, though. Brigadier General Thomas W. Cooley became the Commander and Division Engineer, U.S. Army Engineer Division, Southwestern, July 2nd, 2010, and I got there just in time. Thank you for being there, and thank you for staying there. We don't want you to ever, ever, ever leave. And you're going to promise you're not going to leave when you speak here just a little bit. But he was born in North Chicago, not anywhere close to where that guy's over Negro was born, I hope. And he is from the School of Advanced Military Studies. He had so many assignments, I couldn't have the rest of the day to cover them all. His awards and decorations include the Legion of Merit, the Meritorious Service Medal, the Iraq Campaign Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, the Combat German Parachute Ridge Badge, and many other staff members. He's married to the lovely Jeanette, has 3 children. He's a leader I admire and a friend I really cherish. General, thank you for all you've done, and thank you too for all you're going to do for us in the future. Thank you so much.
Well, good afternoon, everybody in Congressman Hall. Thank you so much for the very, very kind introduction. And also to Mayor Johnson, George Schuler, the council members here today, Grayson County Commissioners, and really all of the distinguished guests that are here today. It's really my honor to be here. This is a very, very special event for the area and also for the Corps of Engineers. And I receive entirely too much credit for what happened here. It's been a great partnership that allowed this to occur. And that's the partnership, strong partnership between the Army Corps of Engineers, our Tulsa district. Yes, they do work down here in Texas. They come across the river to do good things. That's the neat thing about the Corps. And our Tulsa district supports not only the entire state of Oklahoma, but also across the Red River here and the Panhandle for the state of Texas. That partnership with the local communities it made all this possible. Representing the Tulsa district here today is Colonel Mike Teague. He's got a couple members of his team here, and Mike is the one that really provided the leadership that allowed this to happen, working with the city, working through some challenging events to make this happen. And I'd like to single out a couple of his team members, Steve Nolan, if you could stand up, and Brian Taylor. Yes. These folks have worked for a number of years with the city of Denison to make this possible with the developer, with George Schuler. And I mean, it is really, really a great event. There ain't many of these things going on throughout the country. So this is a very special event that you all ought to feel very, very thankful for, that you have moved through it. It has taken some time, and sometimes perseverance does pay off. So for the city and for those in the Tulsa district who persevered and got over the hurdles, broke through brick walls to make it happen, for all these folks, please, a round of applause. We're very, very happy to be part of this event, to contributed to this action and to this ceremony here today. You know, it's one of the examples, an example that we're very proud of how the Corps touches the American public every single way, in some way, shape, or form. The value that we provide to America. I won't tell a story because it's so difficult to follow the congressman and even think about telling a story, but I would tell you something. How much your congressman loves his district, this community, this city, and has supported this particular action. There was a couple times on Saturday mornings, about 7 o'clock in the morning, my cell phone went off and I said, who the heck is calling me on Saturday morning? And that would be, yes sir, Congressman Hall, how can I help you? And just checking on an update of how this action was coming along so that we stayed on schedule. I'd like to report that, you know, the Tulsa District under Colonel Mike Teague's leadership actually got this thing here in the last stages, got it through ahead of schedule. This particular action represents one of the main missions of the Corps of Engineers, and that is we manage our nation's precious water resources, and then at the same time, what we allow for, what we support, what we help to move and push through is smart development. And that's what's happened in this case right here. This particular action was authorized with the Water Resources Development Act of 2007, so there is, like the Congressman said, there's some history here. The team has worked through that. It cleared the way for Lake Texoma and the city of Denison for us to convey a little more than 600 acres of beautiful land adjacent to the lake. And I think this community, those here understand even much more than I do how important this particular action has been. And we just didn't hand it over. The good people of Denison have paid the fair market value for this land, as well as the cost for environmental impact statement, the survey, and the appraisals. A lot of government work to go through, so a lot of people persevered through this endeavor to make this happen. And of course, that kind of actions like this do not happen without the support of your local congressional representatives, and that would be Congressman Ralph Hall, and he's to thank also for the action and the ceremony occurring here today. So a round for Congressman Ralph Hall. So this is a partnership, a strong partnership in every aspect between the Corps of Engineers, local government, and Congress. Thank you very much for including us in this ceremony, and thank you for the strong partnership that we all enjoy. And in closing, Colonel Mike Teague, this is a guy that made it happen, and his people. He's going to provide a small token of the land conveyance to the city mayor as the representative that commemorates this land transfer. And I'll get out of the way here so Mike can get center stage. And what Mike has is a encased in a little glass case,
Back their own dirt.
is a piece of the land, dirt and turf of the land that's just been conveyed. And on top of the plaque it reads, Army Corps of Engineers, City of Denison, March 22nd, 2013. This land is your land. And thank you again, and best wishes on the future development of this land. And if we could, Congressman, we're going to have a very similar presentation for you, absolutely based on the significant role you played in this land conveyance. And it's small, but that's something that can last forever, which is land. So congratulations, and again, best wishes with the development.